Hi, it's Jim from CrazyGuitarTutor.com. In today's video, I'm going to give an explanation of the CAGED system for guitar. The CAGED system is really just a way of visualizing the guitar neck into 5 interconnected separate zones that are based off the open position major chords of C, A, G, E, and D. Using the CAGED system will help open up possibilities for you on how you do different types of rhythm parts for your playing. It will also liberate you from using only open position chords and bar chords for all of your rhythm playing. To get started with the CAGED system, it's best to look at these open position chords and identify where the root notes of those chords exist. So for example, in open C, the root notes of a C chord happen to live on the 5th string and the 2nd string. For any of these open position chords, they can be made movable by replacing your finger with where the nut would be at the end of the guitar here. So for the open position C, I'm going to put my finger here and I'm going to make the C shape. Then I'm going to move this up the neck. And as I do that, I'm simply taking the organization of notes, these different intervals here defined by this C shape, and I'm just going to put that on a different place in the neck as if I'm putting a capo across here with my first finger. With the open A chord, its root notes are on the 5th string and the 3rd string. I can make this movable by replacing my finger with where the nut is and using my 3rd finger to bar across all 3 here, and then move that anywhere along the neck. This is commonly used for one of the power chords. If you're already playing bar chords, you probably already use this shape. The next shape in the system would be the G shape. With the G shape, the root notes of the chord are on that 6th string, your 3rd string, and your 1st string. With the G shape, I usually don't move the entire shape along the neck. What I'll do is I'll use just a portion of it, maybe 6, 5, 4, and 3, and 2, just these kind of notes, or the top notes there. So to grab the G shape and make it movable, put it here. Let's put that up on the 5th fret. And now you can see I still have a major shape based off the root note being there on the 6th string and the 3rd string here. With the E shape, you've probably already seen this one if you're using bar chords. This one has its root notes that live on the 6th string and the 4th string and the 1st string. And you make it movable by just replacing your first finger down here and using that same shape. With the open D shape, its root notes are on the 4th string and the 2nd string. To make this movable, I just put my finger down here where the nut is and I make my D shape, and then I can slide that anywhere I like. So wherever I put this, the name of the chord, its root note, is from that 4th string. So in this case, I'm playing a G major chord. Right here, F major chord, a D major chord. The next most important thing to understand about the CAGED system are how all these different patterns line up with each other across the neck in any one key. So the best way to understand that is just to show how you can play a C chord all the way across the neck using the different patterns. Start with open C, and the first thing to note is I got a root note on that 5th string, and then you look at the other open position patterns that match that same root note location. So this shows you that the next connected pattern is the A pattern. So I can play a C, and then the next pattern, the same root note there on the 5th string, I can do my A pattern based off of that. And then if you look at the A pattern, notice that I've got a root note here on that 3rd string. If you look at the other open position patterns that use a root note on the 3rd string, you'll see that the G pattern is the one that lines up with that. So I have C pattern, A pattern, these are all C chords I'm playing, and then my G pattern. So you see how these all line up into almost like interconnected pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. So there's my G pattern. The next pattern in line is going to be using a root note off of the 6th string, and our open position E pattern is that pattern that matches up to that root on the 6th string. The next thing to notice is that I have a root note here on the 4th string. If you look at the open position patterns that use a root note on the 4th string, you'll see that my D pattern, my open D pattern, uses that same root note location, so it's the interconnecting piece of that next part of the puzzle. And likewise, after I'm up here on the 12th fret, then I've got a root note here on that B string, so my C pattern fits that one. So you can see that they're like interconnected pieces of a puzzle. The C pattern, the A pattern, the G pattern, the E pattern, and the D pattern, hence the name CAGED. The same ordering of patterns works in all the other different chords and other different keys rather. They just start in a different place, but the same interdependency of which pattern follows the others follows that same sequence. So let's take A for example. I'm starting with the A pattern. Notice here I got my root note on that 5th string. I have a root note here on the 3rd string, so the next pattern that matches the root note being on the 3rd string is the G pattern. So I have A, this is also an A chord, but I'm using the G pattern for that. And then likewise, the E pattern here on the 5th fret, because I've got my root note on the 6th string. And then likewise, the next one in the pattern is the D pattern up here on the 7th fret. So I'm playing A, I'm playing A here, playing A here, playing A here, and likewise I've got on the last pattern here, since I've got a root note on the B string, then I can use the C pattern up here, the C shape. And then the last shape, the A shape right here. So I've got A, I've got a G shape for the A, E shape for the A, D shape for the A, C shape for the A, and lastly A shape for the A. One of the more useful things that you can do with these caged patterns is make choices about how you play different parts across the neck depending on what you need for your song. So let's say you might be in a band where there's more than one guitar player and the other guitar player is doing something maybe down in open position, and maybe you're the second guitar player, you're doing things either on maybe a clean electric part or a 12 string or something, and maybe you want to do something that matches with a heavier part that's already in the mix. So let's say part number 1 is something like maybe an E. E, A, E, and B7. So maybe as the second guitar player, you want to do something that sticks out in the mix and adds a little bit more variety. So using your CAGED knowledge, you can say, well, maybe one way to play that same chord progression is rather than play the same thing the other guitar player is playing, maybe I want to play my E up here off of the 7th fret using a C shape. And a lot of times what I'll do with these CAGED patterns is, or CAGED shapes, is I'll eliminate some of the notes if I want just a lighter part. So rather than play all these 5 notes, I'm just going to play these bottom notes here. So maybe for my E choice, I could do something like that. For my A chord, rather than play the entire A bar chord up here, maybe I'm just going to use the bottom 4 strings here. And likewise, for my B chord, I could just use the bottom 4 strings like this. So that second part might be something like this. You'll hear the Doobie Brothers use this and listen to the music. You know, for that kind of part, what they're doing is they're using, this is an E, so it's a choice of using the G shape for the E chord, and for the A chord, what they're doing is they're using the C shape, but rather than using the entire C shape, they're just playing the open A like this, and doing the rest of the C shape like that. I hope this video provided something useful to you for your own playing and understanding of the CAGED system. Please visit me at azguitartutor.com, where you'll find an article about the CAGED system, including diagrams and tablature for everything I've shown in this video. Until next time, happy music making.